Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So earlier on this year, Bernie Sanders reintroduced the Social Security Expansion Act. So in this bill, what it would do is it would increase benefits for people receiving Social Security benefits by $200 every single month, or of course $2,400 every single year. The bill was also reintroduced in the House of Representatives by Jan Schakowsky. So we're going to be giving an update on this bill, the likelihood of it passing, what would need to happen in order for this bill to pass, and why it's actually quite bipartisan at this point in time. Also, 74% of Americans say they can't count on Social Security when planning for retirement. We'll be going over that article as well and what could potentially change their mindset on those thoughts. Now, before I dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so according to CNBC, 74% say they can't count on Social Security when planning for retirement. Negative headlines about Social Security's future may be affecting how prepared people feel when it comes to their own retirement. Almost 3/4, 74% of people say they cannot count on Social Security benefits when it comes to the money they will have in retirement, according to a new survey from Alliance Life Insurance Company of North America. In late March, the Social Security Administration trustees issued a new annual report with a more imminent prognosis for the program's two trust funds, one of which pays for retirement benefits and the other disability benefits. In 2034, 1 year earlier than previously projected, the program may be able to pay just 80% of the combined fund's benefits. So obviously, this is a huge problem. This is about 10 years away. We have some other reports that suggest this number could be closer to, let's say, like 2032 to 2033, and it seems like every single year this year gets bumped up closer and closer. So we may not have to do something this year, we may not have to do something next year, or even in the next 5 years. In fact, lawmakers may continue to kick the can down the road until we get to the final deadline, let's say maybe 3 months before the program goes insolvent. Now, if the program goes insolvent and they're not able to find any type of solution, at that point, yes, as they're saying here, there would be a cut in your benefits if you're receiving them at that point in time by anywhere between 20 to 25%. So if you're receiving a benefit of $2,000 and you're receiving a 20% cut in benefits, your $2,000 monthly check would then be cut down to $1,600, a $400 cut. That would obviously be a big problem. Now, of course, one viable solution to that would be Bernie Sanders' Social Security Expansion Act. In that bill, it would actually increase solvency, it would push the solvency date out another 75 years. So instead of looking at, let's say, like 2030, 2031, 2032, 2033, we would be looking at 2100 and beyond. So that would obviously help out quite a bit. And then, of course, in addition to that, it would also increase benefits by $200 every single month, or $2,400 every single year. It would change the way that the cost of living adjustments are calculated over to the CPIE method. So in theory, every single year, your COLAs would actually come in higher. And then it does a whole host of other things as well. So a lot of people are really getting behind this bill. And of course, they would do all of this by subjecting the payroll tax for Social Security to make it so people who earn above $250,000 per year would have to pay the Social Security payroll tax. So right now, you only pay the Social Security payroll tax on the first $160,200 that you earn. In this bill, what would happen is you would pay the payroll tax on the first $160,200 that you earn, and then you wouldn't pay any tax between that amount and $250,000. But then any income above $250,000, you would once again have to pay the Social Security payroll tax. So that's basically how it would be funded. Now, as far as whether or not this bill is bipartisan, there's actually been a lot of surveys conducted, and you can see one currently up here on the screen. It's saying that some members of Congress are proposing the Social Security Expansion Act. This bill would extend the solvency of Social Security for 75 years, meaning the program would have enough funds to fully pay out benefits through 2097. The bill would also increase benefits for all recipients by $2,400 per year. This would be paid for by increasing taxes on wealthy Americans. Do you support or oppose the Social Security Expansion Act? So we can get responses here. The responses were either strongly support, somewhat oppose, strongly oppose, or they just don't know. And we can see here there's different responses. We have responses from Democrats, we have responses from independents or third parties, and then we have responses from Republicans, and then we have other groups here like females, males under 45, 45 plus, no college, Black or African American, white or Latino or Latina. So we have different responses here. We're just going to take a look at Republicans and Democrats to see how much support there is. So we can see from Democrats, there's a huge amount of support. So 85% of Democrats either strongly support or somewhat support this bill. So that's a huge amount of support. Now Republicans might be where it gets a little iffy. However, we can see here that 70% of Republicans either strongly support or somewhat support this bill, which is actually a huge amount of support. 70%, that is a large number here. So we can see here that a large amount of Democrats and Republicans both support this bill. As far as independents and third parties go, again, that's a pretty high number. We have 77% of independents or third parties who either strongly support or somewhat support this bill. So in theory, I mean, if lawmakers are looking at this and they're seeing that their constituents are, in support of this, the people that voted for them, then they would have, a lot of motivation to push this bill along if they're doing what their constituents want, which is really what they're supposed to do. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this bill to see where it is. So right now in the Senate, it has 7 co-sponsors. We can see that though they are all Democrats. We have Elizabeth Warren, Sheldon Whitehouse, Jeff Merkley, Chris Van Hollen, Alex Padilla, Kirsten Gillibrand, and Cory Booker. Again, they are all Democrats. And then in the House, we have more co-sponsors. We have 31 co-sponsors. However, again, these are all Democrats. So, that's saying something there, that there's no Republican co-sponsors. It means there's not a lot of support among Republican lawmakers, despite their constituents actually strongly supporting this bill, at least according to the polling. So we can see right now that it is in a few different committees. So it's in the House Ways and Means, the House Education and the Workforce, and the House Transportation and Infrastructure. So we can see that it's in those committees. We're not really anywhere close to it being voted on at this point in time. And for it to pass in the House of Representatives, at least, it would need at least 218 votes. We can see the breakdown here in the House of Representatives. Right now, Republicans do have 222 seats, as opposed to the Democratic Party, who has just 213 seats. So basically what would need to happen is they would need to pick up at least 5 votes from the Republicans. And then as far as Democrats go, they would have to get all the votes. Every single Democrat would have to vote in favor of this bill. So we'd need to have the 213 Democrats vote in favor of the bill. And then the Democratic Party would need at least 5 Republicans, which you would think wouldn't be too difficult, considering if these Republicans were looking at how their voters, how people who voted for them are in favor of this bill. Again, 70% of people either strongly support or somewhat support the Social Security Expansion Act. So you would think they would vote in favor of it. But again, if you look at the co-sponsors, there's not a single Republican who is co-sponsoring the bill. And then, of course, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy would have to put the bill on the floor for a vote, which, of course, is also questionable as well if he's not in support of this bill, in support of raising taxes on Americans who earn above $250,000 per year. Then if the bill doesn't even get put on the floor for a vote, then obviously it really doesn't stand up much of a chance of passing. Now, as far as the Senate goes, if it even does pass in the House, we can see the breakdown right now. We have 51 Democrats in the Senate as opposed to 49 Republicans. So the Democrats do have a slim majority in the Senate right now, which could go in their favor. However, in the Senate, for any bill to pass, they would need at least 60 votes, which means that every single Democrat would have to vote in favor of this bill. So if they had all 51 Democrats vote in favor for it, at that point they would need 9 out of the 49 Republicans to also vote in favor of it, which again, if you go back to that poll where 70% of Republicans are either in strong support or somewhat support the bill, you would think they would also vote in favor of it, because again, these are the people that vote for them, so they should be doing the things that they would want, or at least you would think. But again, not a single Republican is co-sponsoring onto this bill. So who knows if it actually got put on the floor for a vote, whether or not they would actually support it, whether or not they would support raising benefits for people receiving Social Security by $200 every single month, we would just have to wait and see. But let me know what your thoughts and comments are down below. Do you have confidence that this bill has a chance of passing in either the House or the Senate? Definitely interested in hearing your thoughts and comments below. But that's all the news that we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.